Hi, everybody, and welcome to Seeking the Sacred Earth. So, forgiveness. This is a word I used to say was pat or overused, and I have to be honest, I didn't understand it, and so I kind of made fun of it. If you watched any of my videos or you follow anything I've been doing recently, I had an extremely difficult relationship with my father. He was an incredibly abusive parent, and some of the things that happened were, in my mind, unforgivable. And I held on to that because, in truth, there was a part of that was true. I could have held to my righteous unforgiveness for the rest of my life and technically been right. But what I started noticing and what I can look back on is I became really sick. I developed an autoimmune disorder. My endocrine system basically shut down and stopped working. I was mentally fraught with negative thoughts and fear. I was incredibly anxious living my day-to-day life because I was unable to grasp the concept of forgiveness. So how do I understand forgiveness now? Well, I'm no pro. I'm not the Dalai Lama, that's for sure. But what I've learned about it, I think is important to share. We don't have to forgive the actions of the people we feel that have done us wrong. We don't have to forgive what they did. What we're forgiving when we extend this grace, this compassion, we're forgiving their soul, their essence, their being, the part of them that is like the part of us, that pure spirit, that aspect of, angel, God, or benevolence that is in them. We're taking a moment to see a bigger picture, that idea of hawk vision, the eagle vision, to maybe even, and this is what I had to do, I had to look at my father's childhood and his life and really work with the idea that there were conditions in his world, in his life, that created his mental illness. And could I have compassion that he didn't have the people to help him and the means to heal, and that cycle was repeated because he didn't have the help. Another thing that I worked with was seeing him as a child. This was really effective for me, and I use it now on people that I have a hard time with in my life. I imagine them as children, and it makes this act of forgiveness, this gift that we ultimately, yes, we're giving it to them, but sometimes we don't actually have the means to be able to say to someone verbally, person to person, face to face, that we forgive them. Sometimes we're going to be doing this in the privacy of our own journal or private moments. Because maybe you're ostracized from family members or people in your life, and maybe you've had to draw boundaries. So, actually having that conversation is not really something you feel is healthy. Then the forgiveness work is something that you do on your own. But I do think that this world would be a much more pleasant experience for all of us if we could work with this idea of forgiveness as something that we have to carry with us every day. I had a couple of moments in my life with my dad where I was like, okay, yes, I've forgiven him, and I feel this relief, and now I can move on, and yet that anger and resentment eventually creeped back up, and I felt like such a failure because I was having these negative feelings again. The truth is, forgiveness is a process. It's something that it's like with meditation, like the more you do it, the more the benefits are evident. Same thing with forgiveness. There's going to be days where you may have forgiven somebody, and then the very next day something happens and you're back to square one. You have to do that work again. This is part of being human. You know, I don't want to call myself emotionally lazy, but I did spend a lot of time that I miss. I feel like there's a lot of regret that I wish I would have embraced this idea of forgiveness sooner. So Rudy Hunter is an amazing healer that I have learned so much from rudyhunter.com and huntershealingcalls.com. I highly recommend, if you guys are into healing and being your best self and energy work, go to his websites. There is something he teaches called Forgiveness 101. I'm just going to run us quickly through this process. So you want to pick a person. I'm going to say, I'll use Dad for this example. And you want to, on a scale from 1 to 10, where is your level of not wanting to forgive this person? So I'll start, let's say, with a 10. There is a series of, and I'm going to post these on the blog, a series of sentences you want to say out loud. And to remember, we're not forgiving the actions. That's not what we're doing. We're forgiving the essence of this person. We're forgiving their being. Because ultimately, we set ourselves free when we stop resisting the natural flow of the human heart, which is to let go and to forgive and to seek expansion, not contraction. You know, anger and resentment, it contracts our very cells. That is a scientific fact they have found. Forgiveness and compassion expands our energy, creates more space in our life. So I'm going to say these sentences out loud. There's a series of about 8. Here we go. And what you're going to do, you're going to say them out loud. This is how we connect consciousness and subconsciousness, ego and heart. We're using this chakra, the throat chakra, to combine mind and heart. And we speak our truth, or what we're wanting to be our truth. Dad, I don't know how to forgive you, but I do. Dad, I don't feel like forgiving you, but I'm willing to do so now. Dad, there's something in me that wants to keep this grudge alive, but I'm willing to let it go. Dad, I really think you're a blankety blankety blank, and you can get as explicit as you want in your own, in your privacy, but I'm forgiving you for my own sake. Dad, I don't trust you, but I can forgive you. Dad, I don't like you, but I can forgive you. Dad, I'm willing to set myself completely free by forgiving you. Dad, I forgive you, even though I don't really believe I can or should. Dad, you're a complete blankety blankety blank, whatever you want to say, let it rip, but I'm freeing myself from you today through forgiveness. Dad, I loose you and let you go. I go free, and you go free too. Dad, I've decided to forgive you, and we are both set free today. And you do that as many times as you have to feel that sense of, what I'm experiencing now is deep compassion for my father and for myself and for humanity. Because this is not an easy journey to be here on this planet, loving and hating and being hurt and hurting. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with, there's people in your life, groups of people, we're so fractionated in our society right now. If there's groups and people that you don't want to forgive, let me extend this. That there are definitely things we have all done to hurt people. And there are definitely things we have all done wrong. And what really broke through to me was the things that I've done wrong. God, I hope and I pray that the people I hurt can forgive me. That they can loose me. And that they can free themselves from anger and resentment towards me. And when I keep that in mind, I think there's no one I can't forgive. Remember, forgiveness doesn't mean you have to let people back in your life. It means that you're letting go of the bad feelings that technically, sure, It's your right to have. But I think forgiveness, what I'm noticing, it just feels so much better. And it's pretty cool because when you let go, there's a vacuum. And then the universe or God, whatever you believe in, can fill it with love, success, prosperity, creativity, make room for the good. And so we got to let go and forgive people for ultimately being human and being in pain. Because, right, wounded people wound. Well, we can stop that cycle by forgiving them. The idea that we are all one, sometimes I understand it, sometimes it's too big of a thought for me. But by forgiving other people, you're also forgiving yourself. Oh, I hope this resonated. We have a full moon in 1 week. They say that full moons, the actions that we take on full moons are magnified. So I want to encourage you guys as we build up to this full moon next Tuesday, Wednesday, wherever you are on the planet, to really work with this idea of forgiveness. Where and how quickly can you forgive? And I'm going to post the list of sentences to speak out loud on the Seeking the Sacred Earth website on the blog so that you guys can have them. Let's use this build up to the full moon to create as much space as we can for goodness to enter our lives by forgiving the people who we perceive that have hurt us, the groups that we may not agree with, the leaders that we may think are, debauch. And let's create room for goodness because we are the sovereign of our life. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. If there's anyone you think that could use this message, please send it on. Namaste.